On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is currently sunny and 30 degrees now in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The genuine, the original. Now the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
The things we talk about in the studio before we hit the air.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah. Welcome to everybody to the Gashouse Gang. Look, there's Bernie Miklas. He's with us every Tuesday and Thursday on the show. Bernie, what's going on? How are you?
I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yeah, we hear you great.
We hear you great.
Not only can we hear you, you sound great.
Major problems the last 24 hours on this front.
Wow.
So if I could, I would have a beer to celebrate the fact that you can hear me, but it's too early for that, and I'm also doing live radio. So
no, it's afternoon.
Okay. It's okay. I used to do a show. Remember the Garage Happy Hour? And
was it during COVID?
Yeah, I had beers. I had whiskey on the show.
Sure.
Yeah, boy.
I mean, it was only a half an hour, and it was in my garage from 5:30 to 6 p.m. But yeah, it was a good time. Great to be with you guys. That's Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman, Matt Pajeski, Frank Ladd, our producers. It takes a lot of people to put a show together, but it also, it does. It takes a lot of technology. We got to have everything right. We have cameras, we have connections, we have all kinds of things that have to happen, and here we are. But mostly, we have you, dear listener and viewer, and it's great to be along with you each and every day from noon to 1. Bernie, let's get right into some baseball. I mean, this weather is just frigid. It's ridiculous. We are already, I hear it in the hallways now of the station. I just passed Wheeler on my way to the show, and I'm like, what's up, man? And he goes, I'm just ready for baseball. I mean, I think everyone's in that mode. They want to get to spring training. They want to see what's going on here. And yesterday, the Cardinals did a good thing. They sent out the release of who they're inviting to spring training. They have non-roster invitees, a whole bunch of them. Obviously, the biggest name on there is J.J. Weatherholt. We knew that was going to happen. The chances of him not only getting a spot on the big league roster, but perhaps starting for this team, I think are very good.
Yeah, and I know some people put qualifiers out there like, well, the only way that there's the only way he doesn't make the opening day roster is if he has a really bad spring training and he hits like 198 or 211 or something. I guess I don't see it that way. It doesn't matter what I think anyway. I'm not making the decision. But I mean, my gosh, I've covered how many spring trainings have I been through as a fan and as a media person? And you look at a dude, he's hitting like 380, and so I'm like, oh, he's got to make this team, and the guy's basically nothing. Okay. And then you see players that are highly touted. Yeah, you'd like to see him do better. They may hit 220 or 230. But they're hitting a lot of line drives that end up in gloves, and they say, "Oh, I don't know if he's ready." So, we all of us, I'm putting myself in that group. We overreact to spring training performances. J.J. Weatherholt has got to be on the starting lineup on opening day, unless the only thing I'd say that changes it unless there's an injury involved. He's got to be there. He's got to be a starter.
That is so funny and so true. I don't want to name names because then it feels like we're trashing the player. But let's say a guy halfway through spring training, we're like, he leads the Grapefruit League with 3 home runs. He's amazing.
Yeah,
you know what though? I would say this: if all things being equal, and if your team is desperate and you need to find a 25th, 26th man, right? What else do you have to go on other than spring training stats? Mm-hmm. It's kind of high because you're also, and look, when you're at the plate in spring training and Grapefruit League games, you're not being approached by a pitcher the way you're going to be approached during a regular season. Sometimes, as you guys well know, a pitcher is working on something. They might throw 6 curveballs in a row. We're not going to do that in a regular season, but they might be working on something during Grapefruit League play. So it's hard to get a true test of how good a hitter is, but if you have a young player, you're trying to fill out a roster. I mean, don't you think that the guys on the team feel like spring training is a prove-it ground where, hey, if I put up numbers and I'm doing well here, I've proven myself. You have to give me a shot at the big leagues. Like, I totally understand seeing it that way, right? I mean, I don't know what else you have to go on.
Well, from the player's perspective, you want to have a great spring training. I mean, you want to put up big numbers. There's no question about that. But I remember, and so just to show you I'm a fair-minded guy, I'm going to make fun of myself here. I remember the spring training where Justin Williams was hitting like hell and looked really, really good. And I'm like, hey, this guy's got to be a starting in right field or left field. What did Justin? And they gave him a good run in the regular season, right? And what did he? He ended up hitting like $170 or something, and they just let him go. So the players should always strive to unless you're a veteran, and unless you're Sonny Gray or you're Adam Wainwright,
or you're just putting work in like those guys do.
They don't care about stats.
Right.
Lance Lynn, all these guys we've watched, they got to work on stuff. Maybe they got a new pitch. Maybe there's a problematic pitch they're trying to smooth out. But I think for hitters, especially if guys who are like not certain of a roster spot, they really have to put up numbers. I'm just saying I generally disregard numbers if I know a guy is really talented.
And guess what?
All.
We have, if J.J. Weatherholt does make the team to start the season, Quinn Matthews, maybe he's on the roster as well. You know what we're going to be talking about again? Runway.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about runway, because if you put those guys on the roster, you got to just let them play and work through issues, don't you?
I do, Bernie. I think that there are two things here. We have discovered players in spring training. Matt Adams was one.
Yeah.
Matt Carpenter was one. He turned out to be pretty good. Stephen Piscotty, I remember, had a phenomenal spring training. You mentioned Justin Williams. That's a good one. And there have been others.
And Albert had a good spring, right? Wasn't that part of why why he made the team?
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, he was somebody that everybody had an eye on. He hit a home run the previous campaign for Memphis as they were making their move. He wasn't at Memphis very long, was he? But yes, that is true. I remember Rick Hummel was all on board for Tommy Edman, and he would bring it up every time we'd go into the manager's office. Tommy Edman this, Tommy Edman that. It became a running joke, but he was linked to Tommy Edman, as it turned out. You know, he spotted something. So there is some validity to that. I get it. But then the other part, Bernie, is the Jordan Walkers of the world. You know, Jordan Walker has not fizzled out yet. He has not gotten off the ground yet either. So how do we evaluate Jordan Walker in 2026?
Well, I think it starts with his plate discipline and his strike zone judgment, because until he can lay off those low and outside breaking balls thrown to him by right-handed pitchers, he's doomed. I mean, that sounds dramatic, but he's doomed, because if pitchers have gotten you out with that type of pitch over and over and over and over again for 2 straight years, and he hasn't fixed the problem, if you don't fix the problem, you're simply not going to be a major league caliber hitter. And that's all you got to do is look at, that's just been a chronic issue for him. And then the other thing, that's number one. The other thing is, he's got to pull and lift the ball more. He's got to cut down on ground balls even more. He's got his immense strength, and he hits the ball hard when he makes contact. But what good is it if you're hitting it hard on the ground? Because most of the time there's somebody standing there waiting to grab it with a glove, because they'll position him properly. So the plate discipline is the number one factor that has really set him back, and that's the number one priority for him.
And I don't think there's a number that you look at and say if he's not here by the middle of May, like he's not giving you a 700, 750 OPS or something like that, then they have to make a move. I almost feel like in the situation the Cardinals are in, this is one where he plays pretty much the full season, don't you think? If he stays healthy, he plays the full season. See if he makes any progress from April to September.
I think they want him to do that, but if it reaches a point of no return where he's just getting worse by the week, you got to call off.
And that might happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope, we all hope that this is the year where it clicks. I feel the same way about Nolan Gorman. But if Brendan Donovan is still here, which is a possibility, obviously, the Cardinals are going to have those same type of log jams that we've been tired of looking at the last few years. And so how much runway will there be if you're committed to playing Weatherholt pretty much every day, and you're certainly going to play Donovan every day? Wynn is your shortstop. Burleson's your first baseman. So I like guys like Gorman, Sajasi. There's some others. I don't know I don't know what the runway will look like or whether it'll be large enough. I just don't know if Donovan is here.
The Cardinals have invited 5 infielders, 4 outfielders, 3 catchers, and 15 pitchers, including my man Luis Gastelum. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That guy is tremendous. I really like his upside. I also like his name, Gastelum. It kind of goes with Gashouse Gang in a way. Quinn Matthews, of course, is on that list. Some blasts from the past in there, including Matt Koperniak, Chase Davis. We haven't heard his name in a while. What do you make of, before we take a break, what do you make of Chase Davis, Bernie?
He's got to get something going. I'm usually very long-winded, but I'll keep it tight. Mm-hmm. He needs to get something going. He's been very disappointing. There's no other way to put it. But it's not like you give up on him this soon. But he's got to give you a reason to believe.
That's well said. We're going to come back. We will talk about Brendan Donovan and the very latest. Bernie's been talking about this on various platforms. I had Haim on Sunday talking about him. Ranj and I talked about him yesterday on the Gashouse Gang. Bernie will discuss Brendan Donovan and the trade possibilities when we come back. But first, let me tell you about a trade that you can make right now with Genesis of St. Charles. They will take more value for your trade right now on a new Genesis vehicle. Genesis of St. Charles, genesisofst.com. They're located in St. Charles County, specifically St. Peters, right off I-70, 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway. That's just off Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, off I-70. Genesis of St. Charles is a fantastic dealership. It's the only standalone dealership in the state of Missouri for Genesis, and it is the #1 Genesis dealer in the state of Missouri. It's Genesis of St. Charles. Visit them online, genesisofstcharles.com, and unlock that e-price. They don't do these games and gimmicks and mess around with you. They give you a price, an e-price at Genesis of St. Charles, and you go with it. And I'm telling you, test driving a Genesis is a great thing. You can do that right now on a relatively nice day, considering what we had the last few days. genesisofstcharles.com.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than...
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
Swing and a home run to left. The first major league home run for Albert Pujols.
Among those voices, Dan Deerdorf.
Good football town with a lot of good football fans, and they deserve better than to have both of our teams lead.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here. I want to tell you about 213 Complex. Now, you can pick that up at supplement superstores, and quite simply, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed. Here's what it's doing for me and what it'll do for you. Boosts the metabolism, gets it working at full go all the time. Helps with cravings, and man, that's a big deal for me. All-day focus energy with no jitters, no crash at the end of the day. It's a great tool for achieving your goals. Get out to supplement superstores. Tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They will knock 30% off your 213 Complex, and you can find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
A century strong. The voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
Welcome back. It is the Gashouse Gang with Bernie Miklasz and Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. You might not see me on the video stream, but that's all right. I'm here. Internet's a little funky, but you know what? That's like for some people, and for the majority of the audience, they're listening on the radio. Hi, we're here. We're always going to be here. Let's see here. The couple of comments that are out there that sounds like Donovan is the hot name on the trade market right now. Well, Lauren, he has been for a while. Bernie, how do you break this thing down? I mean, to put it in simple terms, just to present facts, Heim did acknowledge that they get calls, that they can wait and see what they get. It did not sound like he was dealing with any sort of pressure or rush to trade Brendan Donovan. The one thing he did tell me was he'd like some clarity between now and the start of spring training, one way or the other.
Yeah. You know, and I used what he said and of course, cited yourself and KMOX about that. You know, he didn't come – I wouldn't go as far to say as like Heim Bloom, like in effect, put a deadline on it. There is no official deadline, but at least to me, it jumped out as like, well, he really does want to get this thing done soon because he doesn't want it being in the middle of all the conversation in spring training. So it's kind of an unofficial deadline. And as the days go by, man, I think, you know, there's more and more and more of a chance that he's going to stay. And I would not have thought that. But it really comes down to good old fashioned horse trading. I never knew. I've actually never have really understood what that means, but it sounds cool. So it's kind of horse trade. It's horse trading. And this is the classic example and the frequent example of Heim Bloom is set a very high price, as he should, and he's waiting to see if anyone will reach up and grab it. The fish will take the bait and say, do we have a deal? Other teams believe, and I've seen anonymous quotes, they believe that he's asking for too much from the Giants, the Mariners, whoever else. And so they have the teams that are reportedly rejecting Heim Bloom's demands, they have one assessment of Donovan's value, and Heim Bloom obviously has a different assessment of his value. This is nothing new. This is how trades are made. This is how they're negotiated. You know, there are people freaking out online and people talking about, oh, he's overplaying his hand. How do we know that? We don't know what he's been offered. How can anybody actually say, well, you know, he's overplaying his hand? We don't. Do these people know exactly what's been offered? The answer is no, they haven't. So you might want to hush up on that one.
No, none of us really do know what's been offered or what the actual value is. We've seen the reporting, too, that maybe the Cardinals value him more than other teams are. And Tom and I talked about this yesterday, Bernie. I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Let's say they do end up with him. He's still on the roster. He's going to play, obviously. They're not going to replace him with anybody else. Does his value get any higher than it is right now? Meaning if he is having a good season and a team is in the running for the postseason, the Cardinals won't be, that maybe they're willing to give up a little more in the middle of the season, or do you get more in a trade by virtue of getting an extra few months with that player, right? So, I mean, if you trade for him at the deadline, you only get a couple of months with him as opposed to an entire season. So does his value get any greater than it is right now?
His value at 2 full seasons would be the peak value. However, as you were alluding to, you can't rule out that he still could have really high value later in the season at the trade deadline, because if you have contending teams that have spent a fortune trying to win a pennant, trying to get to the World Series, think that they're good enough to do that, and all of a sudden they have a huge hole at second base, or they don't have a glue guy who's a really good player who can play several positions well, so you can move them around to patch up any weakness you have. You may get a very nervous, very anxiety-ridden general manager for another team who will, in fact, overpay for Brendan Donovan. So Heim Bloom could still come out looking well. Now, the downside to that, potentially, Brendan Donovan's had some injuries. So if Brendan Donovan gets hurt, and we all certainly don't want that, we'd hate to see that just because of the guy he is. But if he would get hurt in a way that matters, that would damage his trade value. So it could go either way, really.
We have the comment, everyone, including you three, are speculating, so it's their opinion or yours. I don't know. Expand on that, Big Mark. What does that actually mean? I'm reporting on what the president of baseball operations said on KMOX, for crying out loud.
Well, also this is a talk show, so
I mean, we're
it's
not
kind
like
of, opinions is kind of the point.
Yeah, but it's not a talk show where we're like spitballing or just sort of guessing, the whole time. I mean, we're sort of reading into what is being told to us both on KMOX and behind the scenes. We do have some access, so we're trying to gauge this thing. I mean, I think that Brendan Donovan is a very talented player who was not healthy last year. So I think it's very possible that they are going to sit with him, wait to see if they get knocked over with an offer, then play him in the first half of the season when healthy and gamble that he can be an all-star again and actually be the best player on the team. And by the trade deadline, when you have teams that are desperate to add a player of his caliber, because remember, you can move him around. Like, what is he? Is he a second baseman? No, he can also play in the outfield, third base. He can do a lot of things for you. So he could be a very valuable piece by the deadline. That's very possible. But we can only comment on what we see. And what we see right now is he's a Cardinal that a lot of people want, but he hasn't been traded yet. So that tells you that they don't like what they've gotten in terms of a call.
I'm a little confused because, unless we have all, the three of us have in effect, planted bugs. We've tapped into Chaim Bloom's phone and we've bugged his office and we've bugged his home when he goes back to see his family in Boston.
I can't talk about that right now.
Right. I'm not sure why anyone thinks that we would do something other than speculate.
Mark, just sometimes, when you type stuff out on your phone or your device, it comes out wrong. So he said he understands. He didn't mean that to be negative.
No, that's cool, man. We're just having some fun.
Yeah.
The one thing that cracks me up about this is the reporting on it, not from any of our local people, but there's like two or three things online today, where they all say the same thing, and they basically act like they got a big news or something. It's like, no, we kind of know that. I think we all know that he might circle back to the Red Sox because they haven't given up hope on Donovan. We know that he continues to talk with Seattle and San Francisco. So just the recycling of rumors, and I don't think we do that. I really don't. But you know why? Because Tom Ackerman made the point. I actually think Chaim Bloom has been pretty candid about setting the parameters, and he's not saying it just to talk. They are going to have to get the offer they really want, and the one that excites them, the one that they find to be attractive for him to make the trade. He is not going to sell low on Brendan Donovan. And he has said that. Tom, I ask you, but how many times has he said that? A dozen times, 15, 20 times? At some point, why don't we just believe him? Because they really think very highly of Brendan Donovan. So they're not going to sell him off at 75 cents on the dollar. They're just not going to do it.
Here's a question about would Zach Gallen or Framber Valdez make sense for the Cardinals? I really don't think they're going that route. I mean, those are two pitchers that can sit out there and actually really help a team at the top of their rotation. Gallen's very intriguing to me because he was off last year, but we've seen what he can be when he's great. Yeah. And he started the All-Star game, for crying out loud. He's a great one. But yeah, I think the Cardinals feel pretty good about their rotation. I mean, if anything, they're going to start to add some depth in the minor leagues and continue to stockpile those prospects is what's going to happen there.
I'm more with the rotation. I'm more inclined to go with just straight up youth than anything else. And everybody's on the, I don't mean to say it like this, but right side of 30. Everybody slotted in the rotation as of right now are the people we think will be in, and I'm okay with that. I don't know that you need to go get somebody who's 33, 34 with experience. It's all right if you just throw these arms out there and see what they can become. Give them the reps.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Tom, real quick, getting back to the people they invited to spring training, the one guy whose name I underlined right away, because I think it does speak to something, was Ishan Henderson. Starting pitcher who was their minor league pitcher of the year, who was exceptional at Double-A. And I firmly believe Ishan Henderson is a lot closer to the major leagues than people may assume. They love him. They absolutely love him. And the dude just knows how to pitch. He's one of those guys. So that's a guy I really want to watch in spring training. And again, I'm not going to get worked up about ERA. I just want to watch him pitch because I think he's going to be here before long.
That's a good one. Question about Tink Hence. Is Tink Hence a myth? That was the question. Or if nobody actually has seen him, that's actually kind of funny. Tink Hence has been injured. Tink Hence had a shoulder impingement. He had a lat strain. He's never pitched 100 innings in the minor leagues. Basically, Tink Hence is what I thought all along is a relief pitcher. And I don't need analytics and computers to back that up. I don't have access. Well, I do, actually. If I wanted to really dig into the data, I could find it. But just my eye test tells me that Hence, with his injuries and the strain that he puts on everything, and last year he pitched in single A and at rookie ball just trying to get himself back, is more suited to be a relief pitcher. It's shorter stints, shorter bursts. And then the long haul of a season being a starting pitcher, Bernie. So Tink Hence was an intriguing prospect a few years ago. Right now, just sort of still hanging out there to see if maybe they change the role.
Yeah, he's reached the point of his development career where they just got to they've just got to get him wherever he can provide the most value. If they think they can, to your point, my man, they think that he would fit well in the bullpen. It's something they need to try. They're going to need to try it now, because you can't just keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. You got to try another way to get him to the major leagues and see how it works.
Let's take a quick time out, but I want to hear about FanDuel because we have an enormous game coming up here in a couple of weeks, and FanDuel is going to get some activity.
Yeah, a little bit less than 2 weeks away from Super Bowl 60, Tom, and FanDuel is calling last call for football in 2026. One final Sunday, one last kickoff before the NFL season comes to an end, and FanDuel wants to make sure you're in on the action. If you're a new customer, you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So whether you're backing the favorite, which happens to be the Seahawks, they're 4.5-point favorite right now. You want to go with the Patriots, who are the dog in this game, or you want to build one last same game parlay. This is it. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, football season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Go to FanDuel.com/Missouri. FanDuel.com/Missouri. Must be 21 and over. Present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com.
Where beyond the gray, a sound breaks through. Pitchers and catchers report. Baseball takes back center stage. Hope returns, guiding you through it all. Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley, Bernie Miklasz, and suddenly your rush hour sucks a little less. Rush Hour Sports, weeknights at 5 on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world, protecting America. Fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
It is 28 degrees and sunny in St. Louis. The high will be 30. Overnight, going to get really cold again. the low of 0.
Weather sponsored by Renner Garage Door, forward and back, RENNER.
Cardinal Cowboy here. Renner Garage Door has you covered. Renner's been turning garage doors from 0 to hero since 1966. RennerDoorSTL.com.
RENNER. This is Corey from Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. There's never a good time for your heating system to stop working. If yours does, no matter what time or day, Air Comfort Service offers 24/7 emergency HVAC service. Contact our award-winning team for 5-star heating service and stay in your comfort zone. For heating and 24/7 emergency service, contact Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation at aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
It's men's Billikens basketball action tonight as they take on George Washington. Pre-game 6:45, tip at 7 on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
Welcome back to the Gashouse Gang. The Cardinals have been a big discussion here on this show, and we're going to continue to talk baseball, there's no doubt. But there are other teams making some news here. It's City. Has officially traded Joao Klaus. Klaus was an original member of the team. Great scorer. He goes to the LA Galaxy. They have themselves some general allocation money of about $6 million, so we'll see what they end up doing. I'll tell you, though, the team in town right now is the St. Louis Billikens. They are ranked 21st in the country, and they have a massive game tonight. And a lot of them over there listen to the Gashouse Gang. I know that, in the offices at Chaffetz Arena and the O'Loughlin Family Champion Center. So let me give them a little love here. They are fun. They are entertaining. We've told you all year that they're going to be good. And, Bernie, let me ask you what I asked Bob Ramsey yesterday. What do you say to the people who, and I know you've talked to them, are like, are they that good? I mean, who have they played? I mean, what kind of a schedule is this? So what kind of a team are we talking about here? They're 19-1, but what kind of a powerhouse are they really until we see them play great competition? How do you respond to something like that?
Well, I can't hold a team responsible for the conference that they play in. You know, to me, it starts with this premise. Are you good? Do you play good basketball? Do you play great basketball? How many areas do you excel in? Is it just one? Is it like you can score points, you shoot the ball well, but you play terrible defense? Is it, well, you defend the rim really well, you play good defense, but you give up too many offensive rebounds? You don't get enough turnovers. I mean, in other words, if you look at SLU, you'll find very, very few things, if any, to really pick out. I mean, they are so balanced in every area. When their defense needs to maybe pull out a game, the defense rises up. The defense is really, really good. The offense is really, really good. It's a very deep team. St. Louis can beat you in so many different ways, and they're just solid all the way around. There are no glaring weaknesses on this team, although Coach Schertz would disagree because he's got to have something to holler at the players about. He doesn't really holler. You know what I mean? No, I just think, you know, I've been a Ken Pomeroy guy for a long time now, and so it's great that they're ranked 21st in the AP poll. I'm more excited by the fact that Ken Pom has him at number 24 in his national rankings, because that man doesn't fool around. He knows how to identify all of the characteristics of what's a good team. And in his view, his metrics, and it's a great system that everybody looks at, they're a top 25 team in the country. That's all I need to know. Just like when Jim Cruz in 2013-14, that great year they had after the death of Coach Majerus, you know, at one point they were number 10 in the entire country. And if you looked at the team, you understood why, because they were strong in all phases of the game. So to me, you're either strong in all phases of the game, or maybe you're a bit of a suspect. They're just good.
They're good, and at some point, I'm with you, and I think we are probably all in agreement on this. I have been a fan of a mid-major team. I'm an ISU guy. You guys know that. I love the Missouri Valley Conference, and for years, that conference has had the best teams have had difficulty in scheduling stronger opponents, because those opponents say, well, what, you know, if you're Michigan, why would I play you? Why would we come play you? There's nothing good in it for us. We're supposed to win. If we don't, then it's bad, but we could very well lose. So SLU faces the exact same kind of thing. and the A10 faces the same thing. But at some point, if you are winning every game that you're playing, the only loss you have is sort of a last-second, miracle. It wasn't quite a miracle, but you know what I'm saying. And you're winning games even when you're not playing your best. At some point, that's got to count for something, regardless of what your opponent's, your non-conference schedule looks like. They are taking care of the teams they're supposed to beat, and they are beating them badly in a lot of cases. So I don't know how long you can ignore that.
It's kind of, Bernie, it's kind of like they're in the category of right now, and I don't want to say that they are this team now, because this team now has been a power for a long time. But back in the day, Gonzaga would run through its schedule, and nobody could judge them because they were beating teams that nobody really thought much of. So they'd put up 25, 28, 30 wins, and you'd say, well, are they good? And then they start to put it together. If you're good, you're good. I mean, if you play well together. They have, what I find interesting about them, Bernie, is, and I've been watching them for a while. Obviously, I've watched Robbie Avila since he was a young player at Indiana State. And when they talk about the team, they talk about Sharma, Dunlap, Green bombing threes. They talk about Brown and Jones and McCautry and Thames getting downhill and you can't stop them. And then they talk about Avila. Like, Avila is sort of like this, not that he's a role player, but he's taken a little bit of a diminished role. He's not in the spotlight anymore. And he's the one guy you got to worry about, because they'll set that little flare screen out there and he's bombing threes, or he'll go inside on you because he's 6'10" and massive. It's fascinating what they've done here, transforming this team.
And it's a really deep team, and it's an unselfish team. All they care about is winning. No one's going to be whining about not getting enough shots and all that stuff. Can I just throw something out there? Because I just smiled at this, because it kind of backs up what I was saying about you're either good or you're not. So if you go to KenPom, and if you look at offensively, their effective field goal percentage, the Billikens, number 1 in the country. If you look at their, in terms of effective field goals, in terms of the defensive end, they're number 1 in the country defensively. Number 1 offensively, number 1 defensively. When it comes to them, for example, defending 3-point shots, they're third best in the country. Defending 2-point shots, third best in the country. On and on and on and on. Listen, man, you don't have those kind of rankings, whether you're playing in the A10 or wherever, whether your schedule ranking is pretty low. You do not put up those kind of numbers consistently. And you don't do that unless you're a really outstanding basketball team. It's as simple as that. Yeah, there will be bigger tests down the road, because like you guys were talking to, and Ron, you were talking about it. And yeah, they get into the tournament and they're going to run up against a good, solid power conference team right away. People are going to be like, oh, well, I guess it was fun. They're going to write them off immediately. So they're always going to have to push back on that stuff, but they know it. That's just the life you lead when you're a high mid-major or a mid-major.
Cole Bassett, who's watching on YouTube, he always does. We appreciate him. He says, need to win the A10 conference tournament to make the big dance. And he might be right, but, hypothetically, if they get through this schedule and they've lost 2 games, or 3 even, I'm not sure you can ignore them, and I don't think they would be ignored, but we'll see. What do you guys think about, it was just a couple of weeks ago almost that Senator Schmidt and Senator Houston from Ohio wrote a letter to the Big East about bringing in SLU and Dayton to their conference. What do you think of that?
Well, I personally get along with Eric Schmidt. I know politically Eric Schmidt loves to, make big statements and write letters and do all kinds of things
yes, he does.
to get attention out there. That one I thought was timely, because we're all talking about St. Louis University and are they going to get into the tournament or not? And the Big East does seem like a good fit, but boy, there's a lot that would have to happen for that to just, go right in. But it started the conversation, which I think was the point. I think it actually does fit them. It's a league that has similar institutions. I think geographically they work right in there. They'd become a rival with Creighton and some of the others that are in the Big East right now, and they can handle some Big East teams. And the Big East would legitimize them in terms of being an at-large. If you look at the top 100, I want to say, in the net. I'm just taking a guess that there are probably 5 A-10 teams in there, and there are probably 7 Big East teams in there. So that helps you a little bit. But the Big East is a more prominent conference than the A-10 is, so that certainly would help.
You know, I was close with Coach Majerus, and he had been putting in a lot of work about getting the Billikens to the Big East. And I really believe if he had lived a longer life and kept the programs up to the high standards that it was headed to, I think they would have been in the Big East, because he knew everybody involved who would make the decisions, and Majerus could lobby like no one I've ever met. He just wear you down. So, but I don't know. I would hope that the senator's right about that, but I just don't. I got nothing to go on other than, that this is a wish, right? So That's all I got to say.
And I will say this before we take a break. Tonight's going to be tough. George Washington is good.
Right.
I mean, they're a really good basketball team. They've lost 3 conference games, but those were at Dayton, at George Mason, and at home against Davidson, who actually is a 3-loss team in the A-10 also. This is not a team to mess around with. This will be an entertaining game. These teams are very, very good, and they're going to get up and down the floor. And then they've got Dayton at home on Friday night.
Yeah, that's the big one.
That's a wild one, too. Mm-hmm. So 2 big ones this week that you got to win. And if you don't protect your home floor in these 2, the naysayers absolutely will come out and say they're a bubble team at best.
It would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it, to have UConn and Villanova on the schedule every year?
Oh, can you imagine? You want to Phil Schaefertz?
Let's
get UConn in here.
Let's go.
Hey, for whatever it's worth, Ken Pomeroy gives SLU an 85% chance to win tonight, 87% chance to beat Dayton.
That works for me. It works for me. We'll have the game at 7 o'clock, 6:45 on KMOX. Bob Ramsey, Earl Austin Jr. I'll be on the TV side if you care to put us on mute and listen to the big boys do the game on radio. We'll take a break. When we come back, let's talk a little more baseball. We'll take some comments, of course, but I want to get Bernie's thoughts on the Super Bowl. Patriots, Seahawks. Back in a moment on KMOX's Gashouse Gang. But Bernie, first, Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer, is sponsor of the program, and you are a client and friend of Saliga.
Yeah, the Mickleses have been calling them. It's up to the last 19 years now, and so we're very familiar with how they conduct their business. The 4th generation owner operator of the family business, Dan Saliga, is just great at what he does because he has the highest standards. And as I've said so many times, and I'm always going to repeat it, Saliga Heating and Cooling has been around. This family continuously has owned the business since 1927. They're now in their 100th year of serving St. Louis families. I don't think you're going to last that long and still having more and more people call you for help unless you were absolutely fantastic at what you did and absolutely trustworthy at what you do for a living. And unless you were absolutely terrific in how you treat people, how you conduct yourself in our homes, the professionalism, the class. And they're just really, really smart and really, really good. They know their stuff. And there's no fooling around. They're not going to try to talk you into something. They're not going to upsell you. They're not going to try to twist your arm to get you to buy something more expensive. They look to save you money. That's been our experience, and we trust them 100%. So if you want to find out more about Saliga Heating and Cooling, and I know just in our neighborhood, by the way, with the terrible, terrible, terrible temperatures over the last few days, I know people that were able to call Saliga Heating and Cooling and get help right away. That's what I mean. They're there for you. They don't cut and run either when it's hard to get out on the roads and things like that. If you want to find out more about Saliga Heating and Cooling, including the phone number, go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
Featuring in-arena touchdown celebrations, fan cams, contest VIP packages, and more, hosted by RDJ and DJ Dex. Save up to $10 on tickets with code KMOX. Tickets and event details at stlballparkvillage.com/events. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
This is Megan Lynch. 250 doctors go to Ophthalmology Associates. That's why I trust them. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I think right now we all need something to look forward to, and a nice little getaway is going to do it for me. So I've been looking at this 5-day Arizona trip that I planned in September, and to me it sounds absolutely perfect, and I would love for you to join me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay in Flagstaff because that means cooler temperatures. It's a great home base, and from there we're going to visit Sedona, the Grand Canyon, and Lake Powell all in one trip. I'm talking about red rocks, big views, and that deep blue water at Lake Powell that looks like a postcard. I'm told September is one of the best times to go with fewer crowds, more comfortable weather, and everything's going to be planned out for us. We just show up. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, please join me because I have always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. Travelwithdebbie.net. That's travelwithdebbie.net or call Cruise and Tour at 800-383-3131. Space is limited, so don't delay. 800-383-3131. Travelwithdebbie.net.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, on 104.1 FM KMOX.
And now we have people in the comments talking about lineups and criticizing lineups. I love it. That's good.
Already?
Throw your lineups out there in the comments. We'll do it every single day if you want.
Man, sure.
With Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji, I'm Tom Ackerman. It is the Gashouse Gang. Let me ask you, though, before we do that, Bernie, about Super Bowl 60, the Seahawks and the Patriots. Don't make me like the Patriots. They are very likable.
Stop.
But they're a very likable bunch. I love the way they play. The Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites, I do believe, as we sit right now. What do you think?
Seattle is the league's best team, and they have been. It was either them or the Rams as the league's best team in the regular season. The Rams kind of fizzled out in some areas. Seattle's strong to the end. The question I have is that I respect the Patriots, and after all, look at the record they have, and they haven't lost a road game or this year, and so this one will be a neutral game. I mean, to be 9-0 on the road, you got a lot to have a mental toughness to do that. But here, I look at the Seattle defense, and I wonder how New England's going to score enough points to win the game. And if you look at when they didn't play the Rams had their numbers, so to speak, in 2 of the 3 games they played against them this year. But if you take away the games they played against the Rams, Seattle allowed an average of 15 points per game, which is just ridiculous. And the final 8 games of the season, they played the Rams twice, including the championship game. But in the other 6 games that were not against the Rams since November 30th, Seattle has allowed 8 points per game. This is like a 1985 Bears type of defense, just in terms of just kind of wrecking your world for 3 hours on a Sunday. So I wonder about, whether the Patriots are going to be able to run the ball. I wonder if Drake May, who's been absolutely great, don't get me wrong, is he going to be able to scramble around and make plays the way he has done to bail them out of trouble? Because Seattle's got a very fast defense. So those are some of the things I'm looking at. But I also wonder whether Seattle's going to be able to run on New England, because since they got 2 of their key guys back, no one's been able to run on them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And just for St. Louis Rams fans who just want to hate somebody, let me help you out. I'm not normally like this, but I'll help you out. The turning point of Super Bowl 34 was when Kurt Warner threw a pick 6 to Ty Law. That changed the game. That was only made possible because Mike Vrabel was blitzing, and he not only hit Kurt Warner as Kurt Warner was releasing the throw, but he basically smashed him in the head. It was like it was an absolute personal foul that wasn't called. That I don't say that as a sour grapes guy because the Rams lost that game because they committed 3 turnovers and were very sloppy. But so if you're having a hard time, Tom, my friend, you're having a hard time kind of revving up some hatred for the Patriots. There you go. Mike Vrabel tried to take Kurt Warner out of the game with a dirty hit.
All right. And if that's fine.
And
And if I were at the Super Bowl, I'd ask Mike Vrabel, how many plays did you know that the Rams were running going into that game?
You
Think
cheaters.
he would answer that?
No.
I don't think
Tom,
he would answer that.
That's not what happened.
I don't even think you need. I don't even think
That's
you
not
need.
what happened.
I know.
You don't even need any of that, Tom. Can't it just be enough that a Patriots thing again? We got to do this again with the Patriots?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I
that
think
should be enough for you to be like, nah, I'm all good.
I'm not pulling for the Patriots.
Sounds like you are. You like them.
I said, don't make me like them.
Oh.
I don't like them. How much more do I need to tell you? I have the Seahawks minus 4.5. I think Seahawks. I've been saying it all year. They're the best team in the league. They're going to take care of it.
By the way, I talked to Bill Belichick one time, and I know he's a hated individual, and I understand that. And I said, come on, your strategy for what you had to do to beat the Rams in that Super Bowl. And he said, well, there was 2 things. Number one, we knew that they were not going to throw a lot of penalties because no one wants to watch a Super Bowl. It's American holiday with yellow flags on the field all day long. So we told our guys, hit them, hit them, hit them, hit them, hit them, hit them. They're not going to throw flags. So they would be tackling Marshall Faulk out of the backfield and, things like that. Now, some people say, well, that's dirty. No, it's not. It means that he knew that the referees would be gutless. I give him credit for that. The other thing he said is that we thought the Rams wanted to show off for the world and they would throw the ball as much as possible and they would just pass. So we set it up. So we played a nickel or dime defense 75% of the time. And they did not do the thing that we feared the most going into that game, which is to build the whole game plan around Marshall Faulk. So it was a bitter day, believe me. But I also think the Rams, I got to be objective. I think the Rams created a lot of their own problems in the game, and the officials had a lot to do with it, not because they were cheating. It's because they didn't have a spine to call penalties.
Yeah, that's very true. And, I recall wanting them to give the ball to Marshall Faulk a little bit more.
That's right.
Football game.
Especially late. Yeah.
I mean, he's only a Hall of Fame running back. Maybe you want to hand it to him a little bit. But you know what? Mike Martz was a tremendous offensive coordinator and coach. He won a lot of games, won a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator.
You'd have thought Pete Carroll would have learned that lesson.
Yeah.
You would have thought he would have paid attention to that.
Oh, boy, isn't that true? Guys, it has been a pleasure as always. Love the Gashouse Gang and our hour together. For Chris Ranji, Bernie Miklasz, I'm Tom Ackerman. We say hang tight because the DGS is coming up next. Bernie Miklasz joining us, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer. And so long from Studio B.